Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we are finally taking a look at my final Oscar predictions for the Oscars this Sunday, March 10th. Now, I've obviously, if you've seen any of my videos, you're well aware that I've been for the last month or so going through deep dives into all of the different categories at the upcoming Academy Awards, really kind of analyzing each of the nominees and who's nominated with those, nominees, whether it's, producers or the editors, the cinematographers, etc. In today's video, we're not going to really be taking that deep of a dive into any of the categories. So if you're interested in, the deep dive stuff, there is that playlist on my channel where all of those videos will be. In today's video, all we're really going to do is we're going to, I'm going to announce the nominees in each category, and then we're just going to discuss the category very briefly, maybe. Some of them have a little bit more discussion than the others, but pretty much all we're really doing in this video is just looking at who I think is going to win the Oscar, and we'll discuss the likelihood of a couple films in each category, how much of a chance they really have at winning the Oscar. And then I will give you my prediction for each category. I'll also give you my runner up for each category because I really like when there's I think for example, it's weird that the first thing I can think of is when Her won Best Original Song a couple years ago. Like that was maybe my fourth or fifth choice that I thought was going to win in that category. So I really like kind of giving the runner up status as well, just so I can kind of like it helps me kind of like looking back at it and be it helps me realize when there is really crazy upset wins, realize how crazy it is if I didn't even think they were like a top two contender. So we'll give my runner up as well. And then what I'm going to do on this video as well is after I give you my prediction and the runner up, I'm also going to give you my confidence level and how confident I am in that prediction, because there's a couple of these that are guaranteed locks, and so I want you to feel comfortable as well making those picks in your own Oscar pools. But there's a couple of these where I maybe have an educated guess. There's some of them where maybe it's kind of like a three-way tie and it's whatever, throw a dart. And then there's a couple of them where it's just like I have no confidence. No matter what I pick, there's going to be no confidence in the pick. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the categories. The first category that we're taking a look at is Best Live Action Short Film. Nominees are The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Now, all the short categories are just, it's a crapshoot every year. It's so hard to, unless there is like a clear frontrunner, like a film that's had big buzz, is maybe on Netflix and was like big on Netflix before like the award ceremony. That there's usually like that's the only way that I'm ever like extra confident. And even then, I'm just never confident in the short categories. They can go any which way because obviously there's no precursors to tell us like what industry people think of these films. So for that reason, like I mentioned, big on Netflix, I am going to go with The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar as my predicted winner. I do think that kind of the combo of being on Netflix and being a Wes Anderson, so you get to award Wes Anderson with an Oscar. I do think that that's enticing for the voters. My runner-up, I'm gonna do Red, White, and Blue. I think in the shorts video, I think I did The After as my runner-up, but ultimately I just think maybe the material of Red, White, and Blue makes it more of like a runner-up type film. And then my confidence level in this category, I'll go about 70% confident. This is one of those I'm as confident as I probably can get for a shorts category, just because there is Wes Anderson in the category, and it is a great, it was a very popular film on Netflix. A lot of people have seen that, and, maybe haven't seen the others. A lot of these others are pretty hard to come across unless you like, I guess The After is also on Netflix. But The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar was just so much bigger, right? Um, so I think for that reason I'm a little bit more confident than I normally would be in a short film category, but I'm still just going to leave it at like 70% because I'm still not all the way there convinced. The next category we're taking a look at is the Best Animated Short Film. Nominees are Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, The War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko. And so there's a lot of people that I follow and a lot of people that make their Oscar predictions. A lot of people are predicting War is Over in this category, and I do understand how people are getting that way. I'm going to just continue to predict Letter to a Pig, and the reason why is because just a couple years ago, maybe it was 3 Oscars ago, when Colette won for Best Documentary Short. A short that I don't think a lot of people were predicting. It wasn't like there was, I can't remember what it was, but there was another one or two like kind of big front runner films from that year that people thought were more likely to win, and then Colette kind of swooped in and won at the end because it was a documentary kind of about the Holocaust, about a survivor, and about their story. And I just kind of remember thinking at that point that like if there's ever a short or if there's ever um, a film that like is about the Holocaust that's in this category, that I think the Oscars tend to really award that. They really, especially in documentary shorts, they love to kind of honor that those type of stories. And so for that reason, Letter to a Pig, a story about a Holocaust survivor talking about his reading a letter that he wrote to the pig that saved his life. So I think that is going to be enough that maybe in kind of a toss-up category, maybe it'll pull through. But I am going to still predict War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko, to be my runner-up, and my confidence level in this category is like 50-50. So 50%. I think it's maybe kind of between the two. I would love if 95 Senses was able to get the win. Um, but I just, I'm as middle as you can get confidence wise. I'm not too confident in this category. The next category we're taking a look at is Best Documentary Short Film. The nominees are The ABCs of Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nai Nai and Waipo. Now, in this category, I do think that there is a little bit more of a front runner. I do think The Last Repair Shop, being from previously nominated individuals at the Oscars, in Chris Bowers, and believe he was the composer of Green Book, and then he and the director of this also both did A Concerto as a Conversation, which was a short film from a couple years ago. So they do have a little bit of a history, with the Academy. And then this one, I think, truly was just kind of it wasn't my favorite in the category. I loved Nine Nine and Waipo, but I do think that this is probably just the best piece of filmmaking out of all of the films in this category. It's the one that definitely is, the story is the most captivating, and it's the most interesting storytelling that they use. So I am going to predict The Last Repair Shop. I do think that is kind of the big front runner in this category. My runner-up, I'm going to say The Barber of Little Rock, with it being such an important story, and there's a couple of these that have very important messaging, but The Barber of Little Rock, between those, I think is the one that's a little bit better made. So I'll put that as my runner-up. And then my confidence level in this category is again about a 70%. I would like to be more confident in The Last Repair Shop because I feel pretty good that it's going to win, but again, it's the shorts. Anything can happen here, so it's like impossible to be too confident in the shorts categories. The next category is Best Original Song. The nominees are The Fire Inside from Flaming Hot, I'm Just Ken from Barbie, It Never Went Away from American Symphony, Wajaji, A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon, and What Was I Made For from Barbie. Now, in this category, I am going with What Was I Made For. It has been the biggest of these songs. Like, it still plays on the radio. It is also, it's hard to just say it's the best of them, but I do think it is just the best song, among the five. And so, and it's been kind of winning, it's been winning the majority of the precursors. I think I'm Just Ken won, was it the Critics' Choice? I think it won somewhere, but What Was I Made For is winning kind of all the other precursors. It was big winner at the Grammys as well. So What Was I Made For is my predicted winner. I'm Just Ken is the runner-up, and my confidence level on this category is like 98%. I'll give a little bit of a sliver to I'm Just Ken being potentially just kind of blowing everyone away and getting kind of that surprise, underdog vote. But I think it's going to be What Was I Made For. I think we're going to have two-time Oscar winner Billie Eilish. The next category is Best Original Score. The nominees are American Fiction, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Now, there's a couple categories, like this is one of them. There's not really much discussion to be had. Oppenheimer is my predicted winner. It's going to win. My runner-up, for the sake of there being a runner-up, is Poor Things, but my confidence level in Oppenheimer winning is 100%. This is one of the locks of the night. There's a lot of these locks you'll notice with Oppenheimer specifically, so in your Oscar pools, make sure you're getting these Oppenheimer wins, and don't get too worried about thinking that you're giving Oppenheimer too many wins, because it's going to win a lot, and so this is one of the locks as Best Original Score. The next nominee is Best Sound. The nominees are The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. And so instantly we get another category here, right, following up original score, where it's another one where I am predicting Oppenheimer. I will say that this one is a little bit closer. I still am going with Oppenheimer, but my runner-up pick is The Zone of Interest. I do think that The Zone of Interest's sound is, it's very impressive, and it is, and I think it's won a couple precursors. Oppenheimer's obviously still won more of the sound precursors. So that's, where I am still leaning, and I do think that this is part of Oppenheimer's kind of sweep, I guess, of getting a bunch of different nominees, or getting a bunch of wins, I should say. But it is still. I think this one is there is still some discussion to be had, and there is more potential in this category for an upset than in some other categories. So for my confidence level, I'm putting it at about 75% confident in Oppenheimer. Again, there is a little bit of room for the Zone of Interest to maybe make an upset, but it's not so big that like I'm not going to predict it. It would just be a very exciting upset win if it does happen. The next category is Best Makeup and Hairstyling. The nominees are Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow. Now, in this category, this is kind of the thing that happens often with, interestingly, with Best Actor, at least the last 2 years, but it has happened with Best Actress, with the eyes of Tammy Faye, and she ultimately didn't win, but like with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom that year, a lot of people were kind of putting the makeup with the acting win, trying to put them together. I do think that in this category, because which is interesting, because it's like if I'm wanting to say that, obviously, for Cillian Murphy, I guess a spoiler for what's coming up later. Cillian Murphy is kind of the front runner in actor. So would I pick Oppenheimer to compare it, or to combine it? But it's interesting that I'm still going with Maestro as my predicted winner because of the Bradley Cooper makeup, even though I don't think so. I think this is going to be kind of more like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, where there is the makeup that transformed a lead acting nominee into a different person, but then that performance maybe didn't live up as much as another performance in the category. So that is what we're going to go with, is we're predicting Maestro. My runner-up is actually going to be Poor Things. I think for the makeup on Willem Dafoe's character, and obviously the impressive makeup with Emma Stone and with all the other different characters, but really it's kind of Willem Dafoe's character has the most makeup work. But my confidence level in this category, I am going to go with a 75%. There are, Oppenheimer's makeup is impressive because it is a lot of kind of aging makeup. A lot of characters you see kind of at the beginning of the film being younger. Cillian Murphy, especially, you see them kind of de-age him a little bit at the beginning of the film. And then him and Emily Blunt, they're a little bit older at the end of the film, so you have to kind of get the aging makeup there. So it is impressive in Oppenheimer. I just think that this is maybe a category where Oppenheimer is going to get so many wins that I think a lot of voters didn't really consider them in this category. So I do think it's between those two. I am going to go with Maestro for that Bradley Cooper makeup, and again, about a 75% confidence level in this category. The next category that we're looking at is Best Costume Design. Nominees are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And now this is one of the categories that I am flipping from my breakdown series videos. I was predicting Poor Things, I believe, in that video. I am flipping to Barbie as my predicted winner. I don't feel great about it, but I get this feeling that Barbie is going to get 2 Oscars. Is kind of the way that I'm feeling. I think that it's going to get another one, and the costumes would be the next logical category to nominate Barbie. So I am going to go with Barbie here. My runner-up is going to be Poor Things, which is who I was originally predicting. I ultimately just think when you're comparing the two, more people, obviously more voters have seen Barbie, and the costumes is probably a thing that stands out with them a little bit more, and there's so many more characters in Barbie. You just have, all the Barbies, all the Kens. You got all the Mattel people. You've got the people, at the beach. Once they get into the real world, you obviously have America Ferrera and her daughter. The kids at the school. Like, there's just so many different. And then with the Kens, you get like, pre-patriarchy Kens and then post-patriarchy Kens, where their costumes change and their attitude and everything changes. So I just think the costumes tell a little bit more of a story than they do in Poor Things. They are really impressive and look good in Poor Things, but I I just feel like in my gut I just want to go with Barbie here in costume design. And as you can maybe tell, the way that I'm talking about this category, my confidence level in this category is 0%. I have no confidence in that pick whatsoever. I might flip it again Sunday morning when I'm making my final predictions. This category is just so up in the air. I could see it going either way, and ultimately, and it feels like one of those categories which with whichever I pick, it's going to be wrong. But I am going with Barbie. The next category is best visual effects. The nominees are The Creator, Godzilla Minus One, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and Napoleon. And so this category is interesting because you got two films, Godzilla Minus One and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, where this is their lone nomination. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning and The Creator have two nominees, this and Sound. And then you've got Napoleon that actually has a decent little pool here of nominations between between visual effects and production design and costume design. So it's there a little bit more. It's kind of a bigger player in theory in some other categories. So in this category, it's tough because things like Oppenheimer and Poor Things were like the best picture nominees that we thought maybe had a chance in this category, and then I believe Oppenheimer didn't even make the short list, and then Poor Things didn't get nominated. So it's like we have no best picture to really go off of. The most best picture feeling of these is Napoleon, but I don't know if anyone really has the guts to actually. I know people have been discussing it. I believe it started with Matt Neglia from Next Best Picture podcast as kind of being the one that first brought that up. And for that reason, I do have the confidence to put Napoleon as my runner up, but I can't predict it to win. I think it's a two-way toss-up, and I'm gonna stick with The Creator as my predicted winner. I would love it if Godzilla Minus One was able to get the win. When I made my document here, when I made my list, when I put this all together, I put my confidence level in The Creator winning at 33%. And I think the reason I did that is just because I was talking about just there's three films here. Any one of them could probably win. It's a shot in the dark, and just kind of pick and get lucky. I don't know if I necessarily am even that confident. It's one of those where I feel it feels like kind of the same as costume design of whichever one I pick is gonna be wrong. But I as of now, again, I might flip. I'm gonna stick with The Creator as my predicted winner, and I'll keep it with about a 33% confidence level because I do think that The Creator would be a worthy winner. It's just any one of those three could win, and I won't be surprised. The next category is Best Production Design. The nominees are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Now this is another category. There was two categories, costumes and this, that it's kind of just the battle between Poor Things and Barbie as to who's going to get the win. In this category, I predicted Poor Things in my breakdown video. I'm going to stick with Poor Things for this category, which honestly kind of feels wrong breaking up costume design and production design. For the longest time, I felt like there was going to be a joint, like whichever film won one of them was going to get both of them, which is why I predicted Poor Things in both of my category breakdown videos. But for some reason, I'm leaning towards Barbie in costume design, and then in production design, the entire film is beautiful production design work. Just every single scene, every single set that they're at in Poor Things is just beautifully crafted and well done. So I do really love the production design there, and I think ultimately, kind of if you're playing, the 3D chess, I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to still stick with Poor Things in this category because there's a chance that Poor Things doesn't win any Oscars if we're in all the categories it's toss-ups if we're always leaning the other way. And I just think eventually one of them will break Poor Things' way. And so I think that I'm going to stick with the production design for that. So I am predicting Poor Things for production design. Barbie is the runner-up. My confidence level is like 10% in this category. It is extremely low, but I feel a little bit more confident about Poor Things here than I do about Barbie in costumes. The next category is Best Cinematography, and the nominees are El Conde, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Now, finally, getting back to some of the easy categories, I mentioned that there's a lot of categories that are just locks for Oppenheimer. We haven't really gotten to them yet. We got to a couple, I guess, early. Here's another one. Best cinematography is a lock for Oppenheimer. My runner-up, I'm going to go with Poor Things, but my confidence level is 100% on cinematography for Oppenheimer winning. It's going to be Hoyt van Hoytema's Oscar to win. Next category is Best Editing, and the nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Now, in this category, again, continuing on the theme of the Oppenheimer starting to roll phase here, especially in a lot of the crafts categories. So, Oppenheimer is my predicted winner. My runner up is Anatomy of a Fall, and my confidence level on this is 99%. Like, this is about as locked up as it gets for Oppenheimer. It's going to win the editing Oscar, but I am just reserving that 1% confidence for Anatomy of a Fall. I do think it was impressive enough. I love the editing, especially the editing in that the argument courtroom scene was just so beautifully, brilliantly done. So I am leaving a little bit of respect for Anatomy of a Fall, their chances in this category, but 99%, it's done. The next category is Best Documentary Feature Film. The nominees are Bobby Wine, The People's President, The Eternal Memory, Four Daughters, To Kill a Tiger, and 20 Days in Mariupol. Now, this is another one of those categories where I think 20 Days in Mariupol has kind of pulled away a little bit as the front runner in this category. It is, about the Ukraine and Russia war. It's a documentary that's again very impressive filmmaking. It's a hard watch, but got to give a lot of credit to the filmmaker and how he was able to capture the story, to make this film, to get it made is just impressive. And so I think for that reason, I do think that it's kind of been pulling away in this category as the front runner. I am going to say that Four Daughters is the runner up in the category. And my confidence level in 20 Days of Mariupol is like, again, another 99%. I feel like it's just about a done deal, but I am going to leave a little bit of a chance there for Four Daughters, for To Kill a Tiger, even Bobby Wine and Eternal Memory, all four of them. It's tough to say that the race is just done. So I'm gonna give like a 1% chance for one of them to be able to kind of pull through, but for the most part, 99% log. Like it feels like this is another done category. Next category is Best Animated Feature Film. The nominees are The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, this category has kind of felt like a bit of a toss up between the two, between Spider-Verse and between The Boy and the Heron. They've both kind of been alternating wins at different precursors. I think The Boy and the Heron has more of the major precursor wins at this point, because I think it's got like the Globe and BAFTA. Spider-Verse has Critics' Choice, but it also has so many more of like the critics groups. And this is tough. I am going to predict Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And part of the reason I'm doing that is because I just think that in years past, when I've tried to get cute, there was one year, I'm still kicking myself. It is the first year that I really was like predicting the Oscars. And I'm trying to remember now. I think I went 21 for 24 that year. It was back when there was two sound categories. I went 21 for 24. One of my misses was I predicted Klaus to beat Toy Story 4 that year at I believe this was the 2020 Oscars, right? So one of those where I tried to get cute in a category and ultimately ended up potentially I could have had 22 of 24. So in animated feature, I think it's one of those categories where sometimes you don't want to get too cute. Just kind of think of the general voting body, what they would vote for, the wider range of more people are just gonna, it's the easier, a lot of people, like for me, it's my second favorite film of the year. I think a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, it's one of the best films of the year. A wider range of people I think are gonna vote for Across the Spider-Verse. So The Boy and the Heron, it is my runner-up. My confidence level in this category is maybe like 60%. It feels like a 50-50 kind of toss-up, but for that reason, I'm just a little bit more confident in Spider-Verse, but I'm not too confident to the point where if Boy and the Heron won, it's not going to completely shock me. Next category is Best International Feature Film, and the nominees are Io Capitano, Perfect Days, Society of the Snow, The Teacher's Lounge, and The Zone of Interest. Now, this is the most locked of all locked categories. The Zone of Interest is going to win Best International Film. My runner-up is Society of the Snow, being the next film that actually has a second nomination in another category, in the makeup category. So I do think that Society of the Snow is the runner-up, but Zone of Interest has a Best Picture nominee. It has this locked. Confidence level 100% for the Zone of Interest. The next category is Best Adapted Screenplay. The nominees are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Now, this is a category that throughout all of my category breakdown videos, or I guess through the screenplay category breakdown video on my channel, I was like so kind of like dismissive, I think, of American Fiction, of just not really buying in, thinking that this was another category for Oppenheimer to just kind of roll. And then like looking back at it, American Fiction has been the one that's kind of rolling. It's hitting all the precursors. It's getting the major, kind of critics groups as well. American Fiction has just kind of been winning everything, and so all signs are pointing to just confidently predicting American Fiction to win this category. So I am going to predict American Fiction, but I'm not. I'm still just not that confident for whatever reason. All the signs are telling me to do it, so it is what I'm going to do. But I can't shake the feeling that Oppenheimer could potentially just be, I don't know if there's necessarily a world for double digit wins for Oppenheimer, but it's close, and this could be the category where if it does end up kind of just becoming the sweeper that like we're not quite predicting it to be, this would be the category that would push it into that, getting closer to that double digit win total. So my runner up is Oppenheimer, but I will still go with American Fiction, and my confidence level in this category is like 40%. I want to give, some credit to American Fiction for how well it has been doing with the precursors, but I can't shake the feeling that Oppenheimer is right there, and that's not even to mention, Barbie, Poor Things, Zone of Interest. Three other Best Picture nominees all in this category. Barbie maybe has a little bit more of a chance than Poor Things and Zone of Interest at this point. But again, there's just so many great Best Picture nominees to choose from in this category. So I can't be overly sold on the zone or on American Fiction, but I will still predict it. I just 40% confidence level is like as high as I can get for how confident I am in the film. The next category is Best Original Screenplay. The nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, and Past Lives. So my prediction in this category is Anatomy of a Fall. My runner-up is going to be The Holdovers. Uh, I do think that for me personally, I would love Past Lives if that was able to kind of, be. I think it's kind of in third place, but I think the steam has kind of ended on Past Lives. It's feeling like it's kind of been forgotten by the Academy and by the voters, so I don't think it has much of a chance. My confidence level in this category is 90% for Anatomy of a Fall. Like American Fiction in the adapted category. It's been winning, a lot of the precursors. It's been getting, the nominees that it's supposed to, or the nominations and the wins that it's supposed to be getting. So I am confident in it. I just think that as opposed to adapted where there's so many other contenders, with one of them that I'm a little bit more worried about, in original screenplay, The Holdovers is great and it would be a good winner if it did win. I'm just not as worried about it as I am about Oppenheimer in the other category. So Anatomy of a Fall is the predicted winner, and I'm just about 90% confident. I'm going to leave 10% for, something crazy to happen, but I'm pretty confident for Anatomy of a Fall. Then the next category is Best Supporting Actor. Nominees are Sterling K. Brown, Robert De Niro, Robert Downey Jr., Ryan Gosling, and Mark Ruffalo. And my prediction is going to be the precursor sweeper, Robert Downey Jr. My runner-up, I'm going to give Ryan Gosling, I guess, the runner-up. He was the one that I think a lot of people thought could maybe make this a little bit more competitive of a race throughout award season. Ultimately, that never happened. But I will do Ryan Gosling as the runner-up. Confidence level here is 100%. Like, it's been, Robert Downey Jr. has just been winning everything. So I think this is a locked category. Next category is Best Supporting Actress. Nominees are Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, America Ferrera, Jodie Foster, and Da'Vine Joy Randolph. Continuing on the supporting actor train, this is another locked category. Da'Vine Joy Randolph is going to win the Oscar. The runner-up is Emily Blunt. I guess someone technically needs to be the runner-up, but there is no shot for anyone. 100% guaranteed confidence level for Da'Vine Joy Randolph to win this category. The next category is Best Actor. The nominees are Bradley Cooper, Coleman Domingo, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, and Jeffrey Wright. Now, I kind of spoiled this a little bit earlier, but I am predicting Cillian Murphy. He has kind of pulled away as the front runner in the actor category. My runner-up is still Paul Giamatti, and my confidence level in this category is maybe about 80%. I do want to give I am pretty confident in Cillian Murphy, and it's who I'm going to predict. I'm not going to really flip on this, but I do want to give a little bit of respect to Paul Giamatti and the chance that he's had, kind of to this point, in the race. He has really, obviously won the Critics' Choice Awards, technically one of the Globes as well, and not in direct competition with Cillian Murphy because he was in the comedy category. But he has a couple wins. I guess Cillian Murphy's obviously been around too, but Paul Giamatti's a little bit more of the veteran in who's been around longer. I guess in this category, he does have a lot of respect in Hollywood. So I do think that there is some love for him. But it's just Cillian Murphy has really kind of pulled away with the category, and I think this is just another win for Oppenheimer. Next category is Best Actress. The nominees are Annette Bening, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, Carey Mulligan, and Emma Stone. Now, this is kind of the last real interesting discussion, the last interesting category, really, of the night. Um, I this is a 50-50 toss-up. This is as close to I think as 50-50 as it gets between Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone. I predicted I was predicting. Let's start this. Let's take a step back. I was predicting Emma Stone. I think the entire award season, and then it was, when Lily Gladstone won at SAG. I think that was the win for me that just kind of pushed me over the edge, tipped me over to Lily Gladstone's side. So I am going to predict Lily Gladstone. She is who I predicted a couple of days ago in my Best Actress video. So I am still predicting Lily Gladstone with Emma Stone being the runner-up. My confidence level in this category is like 50%. It is one of those where, like I mentioned, it's a 50-50 toss-up between two actresses. As good as Sandra Hüller and Carey Mulligan were, I don't think they have really any shot at pulling off the upset here. So it's a 50-50 toss-up, and so I'm that confident that one of those two are going to win, and so I'm 50-50. I don't know exactly which one is going to be, but I am just a little bit more confident, I guess, in Lily Gladstone. That's who I'm most likely going to predict. Again, this one might be one that I flip Sunday morning, but for now, we're sticking with Lily Gladstone. The next category is Best Director. The nominees are Justine Triet, Martin Scorsese, Christopher Nolan, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Jonathan Glazer. And this is Christopher Nolan. This is his finally getting that the Oscar for Best Directing. He has been worthy. He's had a lot of great films throughout the years. This does kind of just feel like it's Christopher Nolan's moment here for Best Director. He is going to get his first Oscar. It's potential, I guess, that he could get the screenplay the Oscar earlier if Oppenheimer does make that upset that I'm worried about. But I think as of right now, the way I'm predicting it, I'm predicting Christopher Nolan here to get his first Oscar. Martin Scorsese is the runner-up, but my confidence level is 100%. It's going to be Nolan. This is his Oscar. And the final category is Best Picture. The nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. And continuing on with the locks, all the locks Oppenheimer is going to have on this Oscar ceremony. Best Picture is another lock. Christopher Nolan's second Oscar of the night. Again, potentially third, but I'm going to predict this is the second Oscar that he wins. The runner-up in this category, I'll say, is The Holdovers. There's a couple between like The Holdovers and Poor Things, and then even I think like Anatomy of a Fall has kind of crept up pretty high into that race as well. But again, there's just not really a lot of, a lot of competition really at this stage. Oppenheimer has won everything. It's going to win here. My confidence level is 110%. I am like it is the biggest lock of the night is Best Picture for Oppenheimer. In a year where there are a lot of locks, it's kind of a little surprising how many locks there are this year, but Best Picture is the most locked category for Oppenheimer. And that's it. I'm going to put on the screen here kind of the final win tallies. But as you see, I predicted Oppenheimer for 8 wins, and then I predicted Barbie for 2 by giving it the costumes as well as the original song. And then from there, it is just, what is that, like 12, 13 films that are, just one Oscar among them. And I think that in certain years, this kind of happens where voters kind of think like, oh, here's how we can award all the Best Picture nominees. We can give this film a win here. We can give this film a win here. I don't necessarily know if that's what they're doing, but that's ultimately what it kind of, what it looks like. I think ultimately I'm just predicting, uh, It's just Past Lives is the only Best Picture nominee that I'm not predicting to win anywhere, and Past Lives has the unfortunate. Its only nominations are Best Picture, 0% chance of winning, and then Screenplay that maybe has like a 10-ish% chance maybe of winning. I mean, actually, not even 10, probably like 2 or 3% chance. So it's just poor, poor Past Lives doesn't really have much of a shot anywhere. But that's the only Best Picture nominee that I'm not predicting to get a win. And then obviously, you got your documentary winner and your animated film, and then the VFX, and then the short category. So 6 categories that I think are going to go to non-Best Picture films. But yeah, that's kind of the final tally that how I'm predicting the Oscars to go. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know now below in the comments what categories you think are the most locked. What categories are you making kind of your bold predictions in? How confident are you in some of the categories? And also let me know down below in the comments of what films that didn't even get nominated do you think could have won their categories. There's a couple of those I think this year where there were some films that maybe were perceived frontrunners in the categories that ultimately just didn't even get nominated. So let me know about those down below as well. And then thank you guys so much for just your support throughout all of the videos, throughout all of the category breakdown videos, and through here all the way to our final predictions video. Just thank you for all the support that you guys have given me throughout, pumping out all of these videos. The channel is going to continue post Oscar season. We'll kind of got some different ideas of what kind of what I want the channel to kind of be going forward, and different things that we're going to do. So stay tuned for more content. Might kind of you're definitely going to see a little bit of a step back in the content. Not going to be posting every single day, but just thank you for, again, just all the support, watching all these videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.